What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Printmeister channel. Thanks so much for being here. I am super excited to be here. I should actually make sure that, yeah, okay, the volume is off. Anyway, I am super excited to be here. I'm super excited to have you here, whether you are watching in the chat live, going to watch the video later, or if you're going to join us in a little bit. I've got this box here. It's got a mystery controller in it, and I'm going to start opening it up. Fair warning, this is a mystery to you. I know what this is already because I bought it. So let's get into that. I hope you're all having a good night. Let me know if there's something wrong with the stream. I don't stream too often. I don't go live, so this is kind of a first time. And if the video or the audio is poor, we can do some on-the-fly adjustments. So I got this controller because I did a YouTube short fixing my friend's Xbox One controller, and it got a lot of attention. And with that attention came a lot of questions from people about how to fix their controllers, or you know, what causes certain issues. And I'm kind of aware of what those things are, but this is not my profession. I do this as a hobby. So I don't have all the first-hand knowledge, and I thought I want to answer these people's questions because they're asking, so I should get some knowledge. And so with that, I got some controllers. It's actually, that's a surprise. So this is a Xbox Series 2 Elite controller, I believe is the official name, and there's actually two of them. I'm going to pick one of these, I think, and we're going to try and tear it apart. I have no idea what I'm getting myself into, so this could go very, very poorly. Alright, let's see. USB-C. These actually feel pretty nice. I've never held one of these before. Let's see what's going on with them. I bought them from eBay. It didn't say much about them, just that they were for parts, and that was pretty much it. Involved. What do I possibly need to get these open? I should have pulled up a guide or something. Okay, so the first one's in here. Yeah. B button works. A button works. X, Y, those work. It's a little sticky, like it could be cleaned, but otherwise works. And there we go. Yep, joystick is good. The left one, the right one, also good, and they look like they're in the center. And the buttons work too. The joystick buttons. The D-pad, that works left, up, right, and down. Huh. Does this site test the bumpers on the back? I don't know if it does. And honestly, I don't know what these are supposed to be. Player 1, Player 2, Player 3, Player 4. I should have done a little bit of research. So this actually looks pretty good. Like, I'm not sure what the problem is here. Alright, well, we can unplug this. I might have just picked up a Series 2 Elite controller with no problems for a pretty good price. But I've got this one here, which is clearly missing the heads on the thumbsticks. Let's plug it in and see how it works. Push some buttons on here to get it going. Hopefully the site picks it up. And if it doesn't, then maybe that's part of the problem. Nothing yet. Let's just try plugging it in again. I got another package today, and it took me off guard for a second. I actually got a lot of packages today. All stuff that I kind of bought in preparation for this and for doing future videos. This is not picking up, unless it's supposed to be another tab somewhere. Let me switch over. Let's see. No, this isn't doing it either. So the controller lights up, but the inputs, all the buttons don't seem to go to the website. Maybe if I give the website a refresh. Take the controller out, plug it back in. But yeah, anyway, I got a few things for future videos, and I got a box that I was not expecting, and it caught me by surprise. But I think I know what that is now. I think I got a couple extra controllers in. Okay, so the website is refreshed. Hi, Miles. Okay, here we go. That looks like it popped up. I think. All right. It's a little laggy. I'm looking at the OBS recording here. So, B button works good. A button works. X, Y, right bumper, left bumper, all good. I don't think I tested these like start select buttons on the other one. We are tearing apart some controllers. I've been getting questions about how to repair like these Elite controllers, and I don't know what the answers are, but I'd like to know what the answers are. So I bought a couple that said that they were just for parts. And we're ripping them apart. So this one does not have those little bumpers on the side here, or the back I should say, the paddles. No problem. This one came with these paddles. Oh my goodness. The video quality. Bandwidth, what are you doing to me? And this one doesn't have them. So anyway, since we're probably going to mess something up pretty fierce here, I'm going to try and open up this one. And I'm just looking for the seams. Again, I've not done this before. There's clearly something. Oh, this one may have been dropped. I'll wait for the video to catch up here. Pop this open. Let me start by getting... This is one of the things I got in preparation for today, because I thought I might have to point some stuff out. When I was doing my repairs before, I have like just a standard black stick spudger, and I was thinking that it might make it a little bit easier to see things if I got some orange ones instead. But look how they packaged this. It came in this regular like Ziploc bag, and then there's a smaller Ziploc bag on the inside that's holding all the sticks together, but it doesn't fit them. That is so random. Okay. So I'd like to say it makes sense to just follow where the controller was kind of already pressed in, but I don't want to break anything. So instead I'm going to start around that area. Oh, look at that. Okay. And I am just going to work my way around the crease. I am not trying to push into the controller at all. I'm going to try zooming this camera out a little bit more. There we go. I'm not going to try and push into the controller at all, because there might be electronics back there. I'm just trying to run it along the inside just a little bit. Someone pointed out on one of my videos that this was not the correct tool to open controllers, that there is a specific one that is much, much better, but I am so used to using this for anything that I've fixed in the past. And this guy is kind of dirty. It's going to need to get cleaned. I do got a little bit of separation working over here. I don't want to force it to break it, but I might. That would just probably be pretty dreadful. Come on. I am getting good separation, though. I don't know if you could tell on camera there, but right around here you can see it's kind of popping up a bit. Or maybe you can't see and you got to take my word for it. I'm using like a moderate amount of pressure because I don't want to slip. I don't want to accidentally push this in too much. I just kind of want to... I want it to find the clips that are holding this controller together. And it's just got to be enough to release them. And even though this is often referred to as a pry tool, I do very little prying with it. Because prying, I've found out, is a great way to just damage casing. I wonder if... like, is this rubber supposed to peel off? perhaps, and then we can get underneath it. But I don't know, because I don't want to do anything that's going to be tough to undo. Sorry, it's tough to do this and keep the controller in frame. Might zoom the camera back a little bit more. Free, you missed the unboxing. It was not one, but two Xbox Series 2 Elite controllers. They're right here. Ta-da! And anyway, now I'm trying to pry them open. Thanks, Miles. Have fun, buddy. Hey, Rare Maw. Alright, back to trying to make progress with this. I don't know why I thought this would be similar to the Xbox One controller that I repaired earlier, where people were like, oh, you just take it and yank it apart. Let's run this along the back here. It's like I feel little progress being made. I can feel things kind of like popping. Popping's not the right word, but I can feel things like moving from their original spot. And so I think we're making pretty good progress here. Yeah, Xbox One. Elite Series 2. That's what we got going on here. And again, I have never opened one of these before. Thought it'd be fun. So we got one. And for better or worse, this thing's coming apart. I was hoping for better. But if it stalls out my stream by not participating and like opening the way it's supposed to, it might have like some pain coming for it. But I do have backup plans too. So actually we don't need to destroy this. If I really struggle with this for too long, I've actually got a couple other controllers. I got a Joy-Con that I've been meaning to kind of look at. And I think we'd have, I don't want to say a much easier time, but I've got more of a plan with how that comes apart and what I'm going to do to it. But there is pretty good separation here. I just don't know at what point I'm supposed to take this thing and just, you know, rip it. And I kind of figure never, because anytime you don't want to use excess force when opening delicate electronics. I found that's not too good. A lot of people say on the other Xbox One controllers, when you're taking the plastic off of this guy right here, they say just press down on the trigger and then you can just like yank this off. And I tried that once because so many people recommended it, but I didn't like how it felt. I really feel like if you did that enough times, you'd end up breaking the plastic clips. And then, you know, it wouldn't have as much of a hold to it. That's why I like running these tools across it first. And then opening it from there. Oh, you know what I realized? We're going to go ahead and change this back because we know what this thing does now. There we go. Well, that was silly. You guys could have been looking at a much better screen this entire time. All of the buttons work on these controllers. And in fact, this other one that I got, this first one, seems just fine. Unless the battery just doesn't hold a charge. That's a possibility, because this guy's lighting up and the other one does not. In fact, real quick, I'm going to plug this one in. We'll give him a little bit of time to charge while we tear apart his buddy. There we go. And then we'll see if his battery's any good. Because maybe that's why this one is, you know, for parts. Where is... I can see the seam here, but I don't want to tear the rubber. It comes right here and goes around like that. But right here is where I'm worried about it tearing, so I don't want to put too much in there. And I'm not seeing too many other spots where there are creases. I mean, I haven't worked these yet too much, so I might as well do that. These are pretty tight, so I'm thinking that's not the spot to start from. Probably not that guy either. We'll dig a little bit deeper with the spudger tool to see if I can get even more separation, because as soon as I can see in here a little bit better, I'll get a better idea of what's going on and how we need to open this. I can kind of see a ribbon cable. Alright. Never mind the fact that I said I don't do much prying. It's time to pry a little bit. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere. Look at that. It's starting to separate. Oh no, it might have just clicked back into place. That's okay. I'd rather that than permanently damage something. Oh, you know what I think this is? This must have like some deep clips lined around its separate spots here. I can't think of what other device. I mean, a few of them do that. It's not like it's a completely unique thing. Oh yeah, I see it now. Okay, look at this. So, right here we've got like just one deep clip. That's not an official term or anything. That's just what I'm calling it. And it's what's holding it in place. So really, I do need to run this tool along here to find where those spots are, unless I just happen to know where they are. But it looks like it's got one here. It's probably got one right here. Kind of looks like. Hit that controller with a hammer. That'll make... Oh, yeah, I bet. But you know what? It's got rubber on here, so maybe not. Maybe the rubber would just, like, bounce the hammer back. And besides, we're making good progress here. We'll put the hammers aside for a moment. For a moment. I did promise that if I couldn't get this open, then I was just going to, like, rip it apart. Percussive maintenance. No adhesive that I could feel yet, but I would not be surprised. Okay. I've got pretty good separation, though, right there. I'm going to try and work that around to the other side, and then we can see what is holding this down. Whenever you're opening something, you don't want to pry too hard. You want to find the points of tension and figure out what's causing them and how to release them. Which sounds kind of dumb to say out loud, but you know what? I had to learn that the hard way, so I figured if that helps anyone else, that's good. This probably has clips in the same spot, which means there's going to be one like right here. I am still going to run this up to it to try and get it to separate a little bit. And it feels like there's something here. It feels like there's something right there, but I don't... This side doesn't look like it has that. Anyway, let's try and get this up here. Gotta say, this is tougher than I expected. Let's see. Does anyone in the chat have this particular controller? If so, feel free to speak up. Okay, coming at this from the other side now seems to be pretty good. Let's go back a bit. And I apologize if I put this out of frame. Starting to feel it in my wrist a little bit. Went from like no pressure to medium pressure to even more pressure. And I really don't like that. The angle that I have to like try and run this along keeps getting this spudger stick like right up to my eye. Like if I pop back, it would get me. So like I'm trying, like that's the angle I feel like I need to do this at, but I don't want my face too close to it. Okay, where is this guy? Well, something popped there. Watch them putting all this effort into figuring it out the wrong way. I'll like look this up later. Should have looked it up beforehand, but I'll look this up later and it'll be like, oh yeah, the easiest way to take this off is just push the button that says fall apart. There we go, getting that rubber worked out a little bit more. That was a really tight seal. I don't know if it just came like that from the manufacturer or whoever owned this just had such like dirty hands that their hand gunk fused the rubber together. Probably the latter, because there's like particles here. But I don't really want to think about that. Anyway. I could use a tad more light. There we go. Oh yeah, we did pop a little bit of something off. That is unfortunate. We'll see what that is. I'm thinking back now to how I earlier explained, someone mentioned that there's a specific tool for opening these, and I'm using the wrong one, and I said, I like these tools. I've used these before. It's what I know. And I should not have liked these tools. I should have just liked the tool that is meant for the job. This rubber right here is not helping. Whew. I think there's just like one more clip. It's like right here. Until I get like my next checkpoint. And man, I'm excited for that. Okay, I might have to pry. I'll put this in position, try and get it under that clip. Oh yeah, you guys can't see that. Just work it a bit until that clip releases. There's more separation here now. There wasn't before. So, definitely getting progress. Definitely going to look up specific tools for this controller for the next time. There we go. Now we're getting close. And just keep it from snapping back into place. That would be ideal. So here's the thing in Marquez, I don't actually do this professionally. I do this as a hobby, and I haven't been doing it that long. So I don't really fix too many things. Wait a second. Progress is coming. You know, I remember this controller, like, touting, in, like, it's customizable, and, like, oh, wait, look at this falling. That's what you get for using tape. Anyway, I remember the controller touting that it's, like, customizable, and I was just wondering, like, maybe the faceplate swaps out, and this was, like, a lot more difficult. Oh, sorry. But back on your question. So, yeah, I don't really take commissions on this, but I am actually... I think I'm going to be fixing people's controllers on YouTube. I might be taking in a few submissions and just like getting it to work, because it sounds like there are a lot of people out there that are interested in saving their controllers. So once I fix a PS4 controller, you know, hit me up. Okay, we're right here at the precipice. Things are coming. Oh, yep. Free, you were correct. That's why this was giving us so much trouble. There is some adhesive. There's something gooey going on in here. And again, this is either, you know, intentional from Microsoft, this stuff right here, or again, the last person was just so very dirty and like so very, this is like World of Goo type stuff. Yeah, hopefully manufacturer goo. Anyway, I'm not going to have, and there's more of it too. So yeah, definitely stuff from the manufacturer, and I was not planning for that, so unfortunately I don't have, we're going to have to try and save this adhesive as I sit here and stretch it instead of like taking it off with some pliers or something. Okay, so there's the faceplate. I'm going to move the charging controller off to the side there. It's going to continue to do its thing. Yes, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a PO box probably sometime this week. I'll do an announcement, and because like there's only so much bandwidth, I'm gonna try and do 1 or 2 a week. People can just send them in, and I'll let them know ahead of time. You know, I don't want everyone just sending me a bunch of controllers, because I would feel bad holding on to them for basically infinity. Because that's how long it would take me to get them done if everyone sent me a controller at once. Okay, I just remembered that we're not really fixing anything right now, because everything seemed to work fine, although the little thumbsticks are missing. I think that these can just be purchased separately, though, and put back on. Look at that. See, that pops right off? This was... I think it's magnetic, too, that feels like. So, I have some of these coming, I think. And then I could just pop that on and it would be fine. Having said that, that makes me realize now that this controller might be the more damaged controller, because if the battery does not work... Oh, I forgot about the paddles. But I think these come off. I don't know if they come off. I'm not going to pry, because actually maybe it feels like it doesn't come off. Oh, no, it does come off. Also magnetic. So, the paddles can move. This can probably move. Yep, all magnetic. Okay. So, if this guy's battery is bad, then that makes this one the one that's got more issues. This guy is just missing a couple of trim pieces, and they can be really easy to put back on. Yeah, see, it looks like we lost another bit of plastic. 2 bits of plastic down the tube. And yep. So, the damaged spots are right here, popped off here, and I don't see the other one yet. but I'm sure it will make itself known soon enough. But yeah, see, again, that's why I try not to pry this stuff too much. But now that I know where these clips are, opening up future ones will be a lot easier. Find the right exact spot and push it in. And I still don't see where that could have gone and been clipped to. Okay. So this looks familiar from the standard Xbox One remote. It's just this little ring here. Now might not be the right time to pop it out because there might be more steps involved first. But this comes out because it's holding the D-pad in place. Those D-pad buttons have a nice click. Let's go ahead and take off the bumper plastic. Okay, and actually I want to point something out here. I was wondering about this. I fixed the controller, if you all didn't know. I fixed the controller like this earlier, where the right bumper wasn't working, and the comments on that video are just littered with people saying it's a common issue. It's a big problem with Xbox One controllers, especially the Elites. And I was pondering that and wondering, it's probably because the Elite looks a little bit different, but the regular Xbox One on the inside, these bumper buttons are actually angled differently. So on here, boy, it's hard to get stuff in the camera. On here, the button switch is like pretty much straight up. It's off to an angle a little bit instead of being like this. But on the other ones, it's like this. And there's nothing to shield it. And I'm thinking as the bumpers go down, and it's got this like big plastic thing on the inside that like transfers the force to the button, I'm thinking it's probably just rubbing all kinds of dirt and debris in there. And I was wondering if Microsoft ever came up with a remedy that was basically some sort of shielding, which this appears to have. So something is covering the button on this. I'll zoom in just so you guys can see. But no, my bit rate. And again, let's see if we can get a good angle. It's this white piece right here that goes. It's just a sheathing that goes around the top and outsides of the button, and it's shielding dust from getting into the switch, basically. So that's pretty good. At least they kind of learned from that mistake. But it sounds like people say they have all kinds of issues with the Elite controllers as well. I'm going to keep this zoomed in a little bit more. And try and just move this over. I think you guys get a better view if we did that. Okay, here we go. That's a good spot. Make a video explaining which controller I recommend for all the different types. Well, I don't have enough experience with all the different controllers to be able to recommend one. But yeah, I guess, as I start tearing more and more of these apart, I'll point out the differences. I do like that, like, so far, I like this. I mean, it's tougher to take apart, but just immediately the fact that the buttons on this are closer to a 90-degree angle, so it gets the force pushed directly on top of it instead of, like, swiping at it. And the fact that it's got, like, the sheathing around it is better. I'm curious as to why people say this controller still seems to have these issues. Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on with this plastic here. But yeah, like I'd be happy to point out all my findings. In fact, I was kind of kicking around the idea that it would be nice to make a longer format YouTube video, like putting these controllers through their paces, building some sort of harness that basically sits there and just presses these buttons non-stop and counts how many, clicks you get out of it on average, and just kind of like watches everything in motion. But that would be an awful lot of setup, and I would have to design something to actually do that, which I'm not opposed to. I just that would be a ways away is my point. You know what? I'm going to need some tweezers, which I did not put at my workbench. So give me just 1 second, and I'll be right back. All right, we're all tooled up now. Hopefully I'm not missing anything else. Instead of stuff falling out, it's a little bit easier when you just pull it out yourself and put it off to the side. So it looks like on the inside of this controller there are more security fasteners. The insides of the regular Xbox One controller only had the one on the back, and then all the ones on the inside are standard. That's okay. I think that's probably the next move, is to go ahead and take... Oh, no, wait, I didn't get the plastic all the way off. Silly me. Let's finish taking the bumpers off, and then we'll get out the screwdriver and, you know, unscrew some stuff. What got me into doing this? Well, I don't know. You know, I started trying to, like, mess with electronics in high school, and I'm very interested in computers and stuff, and so I fixed computers for people for a while, and I just ventured more and more out into, like, taking things apart, because it seemed like at the time it was difficult for people to find someone who would actually work on, like, a laptop right there, opposed to having to send it away to, like, a service center. And I thought that would kind of be my in and my niche, and so, like, I did that for a bit. But I'm not much of a businessman, and so, like, that fell through. And it's just always kind of been a hobby. I like video games a lot. I like to do mods if I can, and you know, you build on it. You do one small thing, and then take the next step, and build your tool set and your skill set as you go along. So I guess to answer your original question, what got me into it was just the desire to fix things. I was kind of hoping that this bumper stuff would pop off a little bit easier. It feels like something's kind of clasping onto it, or it's connected somehow to the back. This might have its own set of clips. It might be connected to the back, or it might be connected to the triggers. I do see what looks to be like clips. I think we're making a little bit of progress with them. Again, I don't want to be too rough. You tried to fix your PS4 controller and it went left? Like, that was the initial problem, or does it now that you tried to fix it? I'll look for your response in a second. Oh, yeah, okay, more clips. Here's one. Here's another. It's a shame that this is so involved in taking apart, because a lot of people commented on other videos of mine saying that they've got an elite controller with issues, and I was thinking, man, that because there were also other people that said, hey, it's not worth it to fix these controllers, just buy a new one. And I'm thinking, these elite controllers retailed for I think like $200 when they were new. So if these were about the same level of ease to fix as the other ones, that might make it worth it for some people. Oh, the problem, okay, so you had stick drift on the thumbstick. Okay. So, again, coming from like somewhat anecdotal experience, the best thing to do there is replace the thumbstick. Given that stick drift is caused a mystery. It's not a mystery, it's an enigma. What did I say is the mystery? Anyway, stick drift, I believe, is just mostly caused by the thumbstick wearing down. There was another reason too, but it's hard to think and find these things. It's hard to think and work and talk at the same time. But what I gathered from, oh right, the mystery controller teardown. I came up with that last second. I scheduled this live that it was going to be an Xbox One Elite Series 2 controller, and I was like, you know what? Let's add a sense of mystery to it. And so I changed the title. I forgot that I did that. Yeah, you know, the crowbar's not a bad idea. This has taken me, I don't know how long we've been doing this already. Holy cow, 40 minutes? You know, admittedly, I'm not working at my fastest, and this is my first time doing this controller, but it's taken a long time to open. Notice, though, how it was probably pretty clever of me to just say this was a mystery controller teardown, because the chances of me being able to put this back together tonight are dwindling with every passing minute. Man, these clips, I think that every time I undo one, the other ones kind of clip back into place. And I'm not sure which side they're clipped onto, if it's this side or this side. I think it's this side, but I'm trying to get them all off simultaneously. Might be in for a little bit more prying. Although, you know what? That might not be the right step right now. I was trying to get the bumpers off. Another phone out, went on YouTube for the breakdown. Yeah. Yeah, but you know, it's part of the fun to explore. Anyway, I think that I do need to take out the screws because they look like they're holding the back down here. They're holding the back to the rest of the controller, and I think that's why I'm having a hard time getting the bumpers off. So let's grab some screw bits and let's take some screws out. Let's see if I missed anything else. Favorite controller. Well, my favorite controller off the top of my head was probably the Nintendo GameCube's Wavebird, because the wireless technology was kind of unheard of at the time, if I recall correctly, and it worked like a champ. So let's just start with these outside ones first. Yeah, the bongos from Donkey Kong. Try playing Smash with those or something. Actually, you know, unique controllers are really cool. There's something that I'd like to do if there's ever time. There's a guy on TikTok. He probably has a YouTube channel too. And he takes weird stuff and like turns it into controllers, but like with a twist. So he turned his exercise bike into a controller, and he pedals, and like that's what drives his cart when he plays Mario Kart. And like that's super clever. And I would like to do something like that at some point too, but those projects are a little bit more involved. And time is, you know, a limited resource. This might not be the right bit size for these screws because they keep kind of like sliding out. Alex, it's 10 p.m. over here. That is my time zone. Okay, so the outside ones were fine, but it feels like these in the middle do in fact need to come out. Yeah, he might be like super swole down below now. He actually, if you go back, if I knew his name, I'd tell you, so you could go find him. But I'm sure it's so unique. If you were to go just Google it or something, you'd probably find him. You could see he loses a lot of weight throughout that whole process. And then I think he's got, tearing the sticker apart, I'm guessing there's a screw under here because that's symmetrical, and that would make sense. This is probably like the security screw. Anyway, I think he's also got other things like, he might have like a sword or something like that that he actually has to swing to play Breath of the Wild. That sounds familiar. Yeah. And I'm just going to decimate this sticker here because I don't really care. A lot of people gave me guff about tearing into the sticker on my buddy's Xbox controller. But my experience with security stickers is that they don't like to be taken off. And I know that people say that if you just give it a little bit of time, you can do it. But I also don't like peeling up stickers where they don't go down again. Like if it's crinkled, it's just going to get messed up in the future, and it's going to look worse in my opinion. Seen Cyberpunk Edge Runners? I have not. I have not seen Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Okay, something else feels like it's still kind of holding on. You know, the theory of taking the screws out here might not have been my best one. Okay, here we go. I don't know what I'm talking about. That was a great theory. That was the way to go. Look at that. Okay, so here we've got little controller boards. Actually, I shouldn't say they're controller boards. I don't know that they actually control anything so much as they might just transfer the signal. But that's for those paddle buttons right here. The paddles on the back that we're missing on this one. Goo-gon's a good idea. But then you probably can't put it back, right? Because I think that was the thing. Everyone wants to finesse the sticker off and then put it back like they were in and out like some kind of repair ninja. Did I miss the battery on this thing? Where is that? Oh, yeah, it's right here. So yeah, paddles, battery is in here. Let's take the battery out and see what it looks like. It probably looks like just a battery. This one needs a smaller bit. Okay. Dab at Elmer's. Sure. I could see that working. That's too small. Add new adhesive. Is that possible? You know, the world will never know, because I'm just going to stab the crap out of these controllers. So it is possible. I guess everyone attacks things a little bit differently. Well, let me find this bit first so I can talk. Where did the security one go? None of these are securities. This still is, right? Oh no, this isn't, so that doesn't really matter. Okay, let me just find the one that fits. I think I already tried that one. Alright, there it is. Sorry. So, is adding new adhesive possible? Yeah, it's possible. And again, okay, yeah, I remember what I was saying now. This is where I think everyone's probably just a little bit different. I'd imagine that people adding new adhesive just add too much. I don't know why I'm prejudiced that way. I just feel like they would, and it's not the same. And it's also like maybe, and I mean too much, like not like a 5-year-old just goes nuts on like a coloring project or whatever, but like the next time someone tries to get past the sticker and can't, that's going to be like worse somehow. Like buying stuff used on eBay, you know what, I mean, you don't know the extent that someone went through something if the sticker is damaged, but at least you know they went through it. If you buy something and the sticker's intact, And then you find out, well, they were really good at peeling off stickers, but they were like awful at actually doing a repair. That would be disappointing. Totally didn't take the dash off your Toyota. Yeah, see? Doc. Shame, shame. You probably hurt Toyota's feelings. Okay, so what I was prying at before when trying to get the bumpers off, it was these pieces right here, and they do seem to be some sort of clip, but not the kind that I think. These are actually like made of metal. I think. I can see where I've put too much pressure on them. It looks like they might actually be... Well, they're not for holding the battery cover down. I take that back. Oh, you didn't do that. Okay. My mistake. Someone else might have at some point, somewhere. It's nice that you didn't do that, though. Okay, and after all that, yeah, some other guy. That jerk. After all that, this should be battery. I mean, it is battery. And I don't want to say that's anticlimactic, but I don't know really what I was expecting. I mean, it's a battery. That's another thing people commented on one of my shorts. They're like, oh my god, Xbox One controllers, they still use batteries. How awful. And, you know, I know what they meant, but I kind of like user-accessible batteries because then you can flip them out if you have to. Super easy. Yeah, a Wii U gamepad from North Korea. We just like get this little stylus here and like play some Mario Maker. Okay, well, not much to see here. It's 3.8 volts, 2050 milliamps. Yeah, pressure fits in and then just gets covered. I am going to put this part back together just to kind of keep, because I don't know what I'm getting myself into for the rest of the controller. I don't want to forget the screws or anything like that. That would just be silly. Flux capacitors. I actually saw a pretty good YouTube. If you guys ever watched Great Scott, he does some really cool and really thorough and good like electronics explanations. That's like the best way I can think to talk about it. And he's got one about using the viability of like a supercapacitor as a battery. And spoiler alert, the end result is it's just not there yet. I don't know if it's going to be. I don't remember if he mentioned that or not, but it was kind of cool to see because, you know, if you think about it, these capacitors that probably have a longer life than a battery could just sit there and power your devices. I think I'm looking at... So, I'm kind of curious next as to what this is. Oh, that's off frame. This is right here. This is kind of weighted. And I thought maybe it's a magnet of sorts, but maybe it's just a weight. Because when stuff is heavy, that means it's expensive. And so maybe they just put extra weights in here. Well, it was... There's a spring in there. Oh no, that's just for these switches, whatever these do on the back. I should probably figure that out at some point. But I gotta say, like, it can't possibly be the tension that's causing the weight, but something about, unless this is just heavy, that spring, like, screwed into this spot, it feels like it adds a lot of weight to the back. We'll put that back too. Ah, Doc. Get it now. I like that though. Get the just like hold your control over your head and just like start running with it. Get to 88 miles an hour and then it like powers on and starts blinking. But if you don't get it connected to the console before, you know, and you slow down, then it doesn't connect and the whole thing shuts off. Okay, so again, this is the back of the controller. Actually, I'm going to give this one more quick look here. You know what? Let's take off one of these little boards here, too. It's just a switch. It's for that little slide switch on the back, but I want to... Let's see it. Why not? The video is called a Teardown. That is the wrong tube to grab. There are no bits for this in here. Is this one it? Yeah, I think so. I think that'll do it. Okay. Maybe this isn't it. It's like right there. Might be a little too big. What do we got? T4. Let's get a T3. It does turn it. It just didn't turn it a lot. Oh, that's better, I think. So notice a few people have popped on. I don't know when they did, but welcome. And if you missed this part already, we've got the back of the controller off. We took a look at the battery. We got the faceplate off, obviously, because that has to come off in order for the controller to be disassembled. And we've got minimal fatalities at the moment. We have two tiny plastic clip pieces that I managed to break. And it kind of stinks, but you know what? I didn't look up a guide or anything. We're just going in blind, and it could be worse. So, yeah. Basically the same size. Right. Sometimes they manage to do that, and it feels so good. When the engineers or the designers for this manage to get all the screws the same size, it's like... It's awesome, because then you don't have to worry about it. This is actually pretty good at it right now. The batteries were different than like the rest of the case, but all of the case screws are the same size. Laptops used to be the worst, the absolute worst. They had, the ones I worked on had 8 different size screws. Like, I'm not even really exaggerating that much. It was so hard to keep together. My system before, like, having mats and everything, was really literally just to kind of like lay out the different screws, like kind of in the order that I pulled them from the laptop, which I mean makes sense. You probably just kind of come into that naturally anyway. But like, and then I start again from the bottom. So okay, here's the bottom of the laptop, and so that means this screw goes first, and then you work your way up the left side and the right side, because otherwise, like, damage stuff. It's not good. I'm wondering what this pole is right here. Like, we got this little tiny rod, and I'm not sure what its purpose is. We'll find out, maybe. Yeah, it feels a little insanely over-engineered, but you know what? It's got like a badger or a wolverine or a polar bear on the back, so that's pretty cool. I think actually we might be also looking at a little bit of water damage. I'm not positive, but get you in here. I think you can see it on camera. We got a little. It's a little bit shiny here, and duller up at the top, and then I could be wrong about this, but you know, there's this like residue here and here, and so I think that could be some water damage. What's interesting, but that's actually pretty good because I can clean it up now. I've got it. I've got some isopropyl alcohol here, and the point was kind of to refurb this if I could, even though it seems to be working just fine. Jewelry dishes to separate screw sizes. Ah, whoops. Yeah, she probably did not appreciate you taking her things. So I noticed that there is like an antenna port here for this little connector, but I mean these are already in use, so I'm not sure what that's for. Maybe that's for an additional antenna or something. Maybe there's a different model of this that used more antennas. Who knows? Okay. Another interesting thing is that this rumble motors seem to have... Oh, no, they don't. It looked like they had 4 wires for a second, but they don't. They're just dumb motors. I don't know why, but I'm expecting one of these controllers to have like a smart motor where it gets more than just like an electrical signal. All right, so now we're going to proceed with taking the bumper off. The plastics, and yeah, this where it popped off before on an Xbox One regular controller, this is now clipped on the side. It is a different... It's so tough to get this in frame. You know what? Let's do this. So the plastics on this are different, and I can't even see it now. Where is it? It is... I need good lighting, and I keep getting my head in the way. And the camera. So right here, and not at the bottom of the controller, but right here at the top, there's a clip. And so there's one on the other side, obviously. And we're going to have to pop those to get the bumpers off. Oh, different regions. You know what? That makes a lot of sense. Obviously. Not everything is American. America. Bluetooth frequency ranges. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it makes sense too that they would put it all on the same board to save money. Because why spin up an entire different manufacturing process when you don't have to? I really don't want to snap this because then it could interfere with like the bumper's functionality, but so I'm gonna really try and be gentle. You know what? Actually, I might be able to. Actually, let's pivot here for a second. Because I think if I can get the top piece off, whatever's keeping that connected, just like that. Okay. Maybe this... Okay, that actually didn't work so well. But maybe now that this piece is off, we can coax this other one out. It's weird. It seemed so straightforward before on how to take this part off, but now it's kind of like eluding me. I think I just got this one. There we go. Just kidding. I'm just going to wiggle this one out of place. Guide it a little bit. There we go. Ta-da! This is interesting. All of this, like, this little grid pattern that's going on the underside of the trigger control. trigger, whatever. Wonder what that's all about. Maybe this pole here was just meant to kind of keep the controller... Which side am I on? Right on. Maybe that pole is just meant to kind of keep all the different boards and the plastics in line. Yeah. So being in the PS5 controller, was it easier to fix though? But I will say, like, I do think it's made well. Like this, I made that joke earlier. If it's heavy, that means it's expensive. But it kind of tracks, right? Like, and this has like a good weight to it. Although I guess I could see maybe a little bit of fatigue if you play too long. But it felt good. Like, it feels good to hold one of these. It was actually a little crunchy. The trigger's on the other one. But anyway, yeah, let me know if fixing the PS5 controller was easy. Alright, bumper plastics off. So now we could probably take off this ring around the D-pad. If we chose to. And I think we will, because I don't see anything else that looks like really apparent that it should be taken off next. Or maybe, you know what, maybe we don't. Maybe we flip this over and separate the boards, because that's always fun. I am going to... You know what? I did kind of forget something. I'm going to be right back. I'm going to grab some Kapton tape, because these wires are so small and I don't want a motor to accidentally come loose and break one of the wires off. So I'm just going to secure it with a little bit of tape, which is something I just don't have at the bench. So I'm going to be back in just 1 second, and then we'll keep going. All right. Sorry about that. Thanks for sticking around, all ya. You had to fix drift. Not that easy. Bought a broken donor. You know what? That's so clever. I fixed my PSP here. Hold on a sec. So I fixed this PSP a little while back, and I did a video on it. And kind of unintentionally, because I was looking for filler video, like I showed the process of me buying the screen off eBay, because that's what was wrong with it. And like the price was in there too. And someone was like, you should have just bought a broken controller and like swapped the screen, or a broken PSP and swapped the screen. And I was like, oh yeah, that would have made a lot of sense. That would have been great. But I suppose like this screen is new now, and the other one would have had, you know, time on it. And again, who knows how people treated that particular piece of electronics. So I don't regret it too much. Yeah, PSP mod. So we're going back to the webcam view here. I'm looking forward to doing something. I don't know if I'm going to do it with this mod wise. It is flashed. The battery's dead, so can't turn it on. But it does play, emulated ROMs. So like NES and SNES and all that good stuff. It came to my attention that there is a mod out there where people will ditch the UMD drive and basically just put some jacked battery in here or something like that to give it like a bunch of battery life. And that would be pretty cool, but I think I would want to get a second PSP before I do that. I like the idea of having two of each console, keep one original, as much as you can and keep it nice, and then maybe mod the other one. So that might be in my future. Wi-Fi to a PSP street, huh? Does it not have Wi-Fi? What's the street? Isn't that just like a specific version of it? Actually, need water and tea. No Wi-Fi. I mean, since you added the Wi-Fi, I guess it makes sense. Like, it's not like you went in there and there was magically Wi-Fi and you were like, I'm going to add this Wi-Fi again. Okay. How do we attack this next? I guess we can... Yeah, we'll tape off the contacts here. This is a little bit thinner tape than I wanted. I brought full-on electrical tape too, just in case. So we're going to use that. PSP Street came out overseas only, 1 speaker and no Wi-Fi. So is it basically like Switch Lite? You know, I like to be positive. I don't like the Switch Lite. In fact, now that I'm saying it, I'm not even sure that's what it's called, but I think that's what it's called. Because, and here's why. And I know nobody asked for this. I'm just, giving my own opinion, but I can do that. The draw on the Switch was its like portability and its mobility and like the fact that you can like the nice Joy-Cons and everything like that, and then you dock it and you get like this big gaming experience on the TV. And the Switch Lite is basically just like a Nintendo DS. And I don't think that the price break really justifies losing what was so revolutionary about the Switch in the first place. But that's just my opinion. Because if you wanted to, like if you wanted a Switch, you were looking for something to game off of, it's not like the Switch is that much bigger where it's going to take up all this room and so like you can't fit it. The only issue, most likely the only issue, is just the money, right? The price of the console. And I think the price difference was like 1 game or about 1 game. So if you budget yourself on what you're going to buy for yourself, I should probably cat this. If you're budgeting yourself, then just don't buy 1 game for 1 month and all of a sudden you can afford a Nintendo Switch. I think. It's been a while. So if I'm completely wrong, then I'm completely wrong. Yeah, so here we are with some different size screws. So the ones that keep the boards connected are smaller than the case screws. And now I feel bad for kind of hating on the Switch Lite. I don't hate it. Like, it's still a nice console. I just don't get it. One seems the better value to me. And I don't know why you would just deviate from that. There's another rod in here that I just noticed. And again, I'm not sure what that's for. Maybe that's what's adding some of this weight. I'll see. And look, here. Good thing I taped that off. Okay. So a lot like the Xbox One regular controller, this is 2 boards. Although, again, this one, I think it's a Wolverine or a polar bear. So it's instantly better. But there are 2 boards, and they connect with right here. This gets in the way of it, but there's just a little connector there. I took out 2 screws, and yep, the board's kind of popping right off. Well, it's wiggling at least. Is there something keeping this connected? It's not the tape. Okay, I know what it is. This is something that... I'll push this back together for a second. Same thing as the other Xbox One controller. You have to thread out these wires that go and connect to the triggers. And this one looks like it's got some of the goop on it. Move the screwdriver out of the way for a moment. Sangwan, I'm glad you think that's nice. I do too. So let's get these wires out of the way. I don't know if I did this, but this one looks a little bit worked already, like the sheathing might be coming off. I don't think I did that, but it could be. These are tiny wires. If I didn't already say it, this one's got the adhesive on it for some reason. I mean, it probably just kind of overflowed onto it, but that's going to make it a little bit more difficult to get out of here. And I do not like the way these wires are not coming out of here. I'm try and debraid them a little bit so I can feed them through one at a time. Dude. Come on, Xbox One controller. I thought you were cool, man. This is a tight fit. I haven't done anything bad yet. Not to this piece of the controller, anyway. I definitely remember the other Xbox One remote, the more standard one, had a way that, you know, you wanted to kind of feed out the controller like that. There you go. Feed out the controller. Feed out the wire, I mean, instead of trying to like force it under. You slide one wire in at a time if you can. Made it a lot easier to just thread the whole thing through. There we go. That side's off. Where did he get your face? You know what comes to mind when you say that? A short that I made where someone looked exactly like me. Let me know if it wasn't that you're talking about. But I'm about to go off on a tangent now. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm doing here. Again, it's just more wire threading at this point. So I came across, I think like I found my doppelganger, except he's like a little younger and weighs like 50 less pounds than I do. But I found his TikTok because someone commented on a TikTok that I had made and said, "Hey, you kind of look like this guy." And when I looked at this guy's profile, there was a video and an expression that he was making, and I kid you not, I thought it was me. And that freaked me out. I've never had that sensation before. Of course, when you look at us from different angles, we don't look all that much alike, but we're still very similar. But that was definitely, that's the only part I wanted to stress. That was a weird sensation. Seeing someone doing something, like, you know it's not you, but you also kind of don't know that it's not you because it looks like you. And if you want to see that, the short is on my channel because I just basically, okay, it was from that, okay. If you haven't seen that, the short's on my channel. I basically just copied the TikTok video over because the world needs to see me more than once. That's all I can say. Okay, so now that those wires are out, we're going to try disconnecting these two boards again. And I don't really need this tool to do it, but that's the way I'm doing it anyway. Something kind of feels like it's holding on. What do we got? Let's just try taking these motors out for a second. It feels like it's on the sides. I wonder if it's just like it might just be the rod. But why is it on this other side too? Like the rod does not have a ton of wiggle room. Oh, okay, so we've got... Nope, we got antennas. I saw the antenna and I didn't take them off. That's why. See, this is why you do things slowly and, you know, as gently as you can. Because the second you just kind of like grab something and rip at it and it tears, like it's torn. You can maybe find parts, or you know, maybe you can find parts. Maybe it's easier than I'm letting on, but then you gotta wait. The whole thing's disassembled, and that sucks. Hi, Sussy. So we'll pop off these antennae. I probably shouldn't have just given that like little spiel about being too rough with stuff, because now I'm like going to damage something. You know, the second you talk about it, it happens. So I think this is clipped on. Need like a magnifying glass or something. Hold on a second. You guys are going to help me figure out what this is. All right. Yeah, so that's just a clamp, right? Right there. It's just kind of clamping these two wires down. Here is the aforementioned polar bear or Wolverine. I don't know. What do you guys think that is? I kind of think it's a Wolverine. It looks like a little bit too flat to be a polar bear, you know? Plus, it doesn't have like a Coke in its hand, so there's that. So I'm going to have to... So let's push the controller boards back together again. What looks like C3PO? What, the insides of the controller? Oh, just when he's in shambles. Right. Being assembled. Okay, there we go. That wasn't so bad. This other guy, though, he's bending. Like right here, and I don't want to accidentally tear the sheathing. Come on, man, go straight up with that. There we go. Not bad. Now, if we try for the third time to remove these two boards. Okay, so there's the rod here, there's a rod here, and I think that they're just not giving me a ton of wiggle room between the two of them. And maybe that's why this is the way it is. It really feels like something is still connected. I'm actually going to put the rumble motors back in, and I wonder if like maybe these are the joists. Is it the joystick that's kind of in the way? Oh, there's the headphone jack. This caught me by surprise when I first opened up the other Xbox One controller. This does not connect to anything. Like it's completely held in place by pressure. Oh, you can't see it because my dumb face is in the way. It's completely held in place by pressure, and I thought that was like clever, but I'm kind of shocked to see that like in a product. I feel like the engineers would be all, you can't do that. That's not going to get a good connection or something like that. The engineers. so I definitely feel some tension like right here, but on the underside. And there is the rod here, so I wonder. Okay, no, now I've pretty much cleared that. Right, so there's the rod cleared. I think caught that. Rumble motor fell. I think that this, yeah, it is. It's getting in the way. The right joystick, this little cap thing here, is what's causing the problem. Now on the other Xbox remote, these popped up and came off, and I didn't think much of that on this one because like the top little caps come off. So I would have thought that like this just lifts straight off. But maybe not. It looks like this could be a screw in here. Try to pry it up a bit. And if it doesn't just kind of like come up, we're going to take a screwdriver to it and see if it screws out. Unscrews. Screwdriver time. And if this works, that would be pretty cool. But this would also be the first Phillips-headed screw. Oh, look, I just twisted that with my hand in it, and it worked. Does this come up now? It definitely turned. This would be the first Phillips-headed screw in the entire controller. Everything here has been star bit. Sorry, Torx, as so many people reminded me. But you know what? I looked it up. And Torx is to star bit as Kleenex is to tissue. So this does not actually go any further. And it's still not really coming up. Come on, my guy. I'm wondering what is keeping this on. Because it kind of, I mean, you need to take this off. I can see where it's hitting now. You need to take this off to get the two boards separate. And I can see, kind of tough, I'll show you with this. I can see where they're hitting. And so it's gotta, something's gotta change here. Something's gotta come off. There is, zoom back a little bit because reasons. So there's this, oh man, the lighting. There's like, it's kind of orange, copper looking on the inside. I don't know if you can tell from the camera view and the lighting, but the thumbstick is hitting that. So gotta figure out a way to take that off. We're getting kind of close. No one asked this, but it's been an hour and a half of disassembling this controller. And granted, I've been talking pretty much the whole time, so that makes it a little bit more difficult. Because it's tough to focus and work when you're also trying to think of fun things to say, or just anything to say. You know what, I just realized that's not super fair, because there's a couple of you in the chat who have been really, really good participants. great conversations, and fine, upstanding citizens who would never, ever defraud the Toyota Motor Vehicle Company. I wonder if I can just kind of use the force of this. That's not a good idea. It's never a good idea to do that. Work this screw a little bit more somehow. And it very clearly does not want to go beyond a certain point. What about this guy? Actually, I wonder if the purpose of this screw is to, like, adjust the potentiometers on the inside of the... Wouldn't that be a thing? Maybe it, like... Oh, maybe it adjusts, like, the tightness of the stick. That would be pretty clever. Let me see. If I tighten this one down... Oh, yeah, it totally does that. Okay, so the screws actually have nothing to do, I don't think, with taking this off. Although they probably need to come off in order to remove this from the joystick. You know what we could probably do? That's cool, though. Okay, so... Sorry if anyone missed kind of my inner thoughts. The screws on this thing, a lot of people probably know this already, but the screws on this thing control the tension of the joystick. So if you want a tighter feeling joystick, you just tighten the screw. And if you want it to be a little bit looser, you loosen it. A well-designed, over-engineered, a pretty well-designed, but definitely over-engineered piece of equipment. Okay. So there is another screw on this board here that I'm going to take off. And maybe that will fix all of our woes. Because now that I can see that the one joystick is just not going to come off super easily, we might be looking at a completely just different assembly. Excuse me. Watch this thing just do its job. And come to think of it, it might be a little bit easier. I think what we need to do is remove both boards from the shell at the same time and then separate them. I mean, this one is pretty much out. Can we get this other one now? Not really. Okay. I'm going to push these back into place. And we're going to take this piece off now. And this is held in with just a little clip. Despite that, it's not going to be, I don't know the best way to take it off. And I don't want to bend it. I don't want to bend it, but I will. I will bend it. But that would be a shame because, you know, we don't want to damage it. People suggested taking a sledgehammer and a crowbar to this thing before. And I came close. Getting the initial controller to open, separating a couple halves there, took a long time. It won't in the future because now I know what to look for, but that was a long part of this live, was getting the two halves to just in the first place. Here's the D-pad. Whoops. Is this like, that might be lubricant on here. but it almost looks like it's broken plastic. Oh no, definitely lubricant. It's far too liquid-like. Okay, so now that that's off, can we get both of these boards off of the rest of this shell? We've got some rods to deal with. This guy's ready to go on the one side, this side here, but not on this side. Just going to wiggle this a little bit. I'm wondering, okay, there are, I just saw two more screw, well, at least one. I'm guessing there's a second one because, you know, symmetry is a thing. But there's another screw in here down, it's right about here, but it's on the polar bear board, which means that these boards are supposed to separate first, and then the blue one can come out. But that's unfortunate, because that kind of puts me back to, like, what the heck am I supposed to do about this right thumbstick that very clearly does not want to come off? My options are dwindling. I suppose, like, we could desolder. Maybe that's how you have to do it. We might have to desolder this thumbstick. Unless this whole thing twists. I don't want to have to move the whole stream setup. Does this torque? Nope. I'm gently doing this for anyone who's wondering. It might still scratch it, but okay. That's a no. So I think that's the only other option. I'm gonna have to desolder some stuff here. So now the question is, do I move you guys, or do I move my soldering station over here with limited space and electrical outlets? And I think I'm going to go for... I'll go for the ladder. We'll move the soldering station over, but I'm gonna put you on pause. So I will be right back. This is probably going to be like a 3 to 5 minute break while I move some equipment over here. So, you know, feel free to go to the bathroom or do whatever you need to do for 3 to 5 minutes, and you know, I'll see you in just after that time has expired. All right, I'm back already. I don't think that was 3 minutes. I should have had someone time me. I'm not quite done setting all this up yet. I had to move the entire solder station over. So give me just a minute while I finish that up, but you know. Now this is a just chatting session whilst I do that. This is my first, I don't want to call it a strike, because who am I to sit here and judge what other people are doing when they design such a nice piece of hardware. But this is the first thing that I don't really like about this controller. Everything has been complicated thus far, but reasonable. If in fact I'm right, and the only way to remove or separate these two boards, I should say, these right here, is to remove the right thumbstick, then that kind of stinks. Because then it requires a whole different setup. As I've moved mine, the soldering station, I got a fan over here, and you know, just all the things that come with it. That makes it a little bit more difficult for me. And I don't love that. But we'll deal with it. Whoops. Dropping bags. Okay. This is not going to be the best workflow, but we will make it work. I don't know how close you guys want to be to the actual soldering action. You know what? Let's zoom in. People seem to like that, I think. Why not? So it's this guy right here. This is the offender. Its only offense is the fact that it's keeping me from disassembling the entire controller. Everything seems to work fine. I'm just pulling it apart because it's fun. Let's see. I'm a little bit short here. Yeah, I'll be able to make these points. That's fine. This is really a poor spot for me to have my work area. I'm right next to an electrical box, and I've got like one outlet. I don't know how that managed to happen. So I've got computers everywhere. I've got, well, I mean, it's really just computers because I don't have room for the soldering station. But like, kind of overloading myself here. Nothing fits. Like I've got this fan here because you know I don't want to breathe in the fumes, so I need the fan. But the station here is on the floor, which you can't see. And I'm not stretching to get the pen in place here, but I'm definitely a little short on slack. I think we're good to go. Let's go ahead and turn this on. Get the iron heated up a bit. And pull off this tape here. And see, now everything has moved. And I need my tweezers. There we go. And we're just going to peel this off. Assuming I can. Let me just use my fingers for that. Combo it. There we go. I hope there's nothing. There are like metal points, contact points under here. This spongy thing. I don't think that's connected to the actual joystick, but I also don't know. It very well could be, and that would be pretty disappointing for me, just because, I mean, this might just protect the contacts. We'll just start with these, though, the legs, and see if we can't get the joystick out. Just dab a little bit of flux on here with my 3D printed part that was not made for dabbing flux on things, but I have just repurposed it because it was within reach at the time, and now this is its job. fan going. Because again, I don't want to breathe in the fumes. I used a solder pump last time I had to do something. I'm going to try the wick today. I got nothing to cut the wick with at the moment. It's alright. I'll pull this a little bit closer towards me so I don't have to... Oh no, you guys can't see if I do that. Just change my grip. You know what? I'm not going to try the wick. I'm just going to stick with the pump. What is going on? Is this not hot enough? I felt like that would have been flowing by now. Alright, I don't want too much heat too long. Let's get a little bit on here. See if that doesn't help. You know, I wonder if they're using like a higher temperature solder on here. I've heard that they're supposed to do that sometimes due to the level of like lead, I think it is, in the solder. I think I pumped some of that away, but that is not enough. I'm going to turn up the temp a little bit. All right, give that a second to heat up. All right, there we go. It definitely at least melted. And I wish I could say the same for this one. Wow, do I really need, like, more? I don't want to burn anything, which is a possibility. Too much heat is not a good thing. I will switch over to the wick for a moment and see if that doesn't help. It wasn't helping. This seems to be melting. There we go. That actually did what I wanted it to do. Come on. I think we're making good progress here. It's a little bit wobbly, but I think it's happening. They actually didn't seem to use too much solder at these joints. It's like, this is why I need a microscope. It's tough for me to tell if I'm actually getting this stuff out of here. Like, I can kind of see it melt at one point. And that one's not doing it. Well, yeah, I don't really know if I'm getting all this stuff. This part I can definitely see. That definitely melted. Hopefully we're getting enough of this out of here. Give the board a break for a moment. Whew. All right. That guy definitely melted down a bit. There we go. Those actually showed progress. This has to be a me problem, but I don't feel like this is supposed to be this hard. Just cleaning the tip. I kind of want to go back to using a little bit more solder to see if I can get the rest of it to reflow, but I get the feeling that they are using like a higher temperature solder in here, and I'm using a lower temperature, and so all I'm doing is putting solder around their solder and not actually melting them together. Although that, I think I did get a bit more off of that. We'll give this another go. For this guy. Inch by inch, baby. I do hope that it turns out I was completely wrong about this, and that you don't actually need to desolder the thumbstick in order to separate these boards, because that would make disassembling these a lot easier to not have to do that. I'm going to clean this off for a second and reflux. Maybe I got some bad flux on here. But again, everything is now out of position. Just a second. Dry. I'm going to clean this off the applicator. Just remove any old flux that's on here. Or, you know, have it stick to the paper towel. That works too. Because if I'm using old flux, that might not work as well. Or stale flux, I should say. I don't really clean this thing off. And by that I mean, again, face is in the way. I mean this thing right here, which is just, it's nothing. Just what I was using to wipe flux on. And we are just about to hit the 2-hour mark for disassembling this controller. Hooray! Not the milestone that I wanted. Okay. That's probably the cleanest this thing's been in a while. Let me actually hit it with a little bit of alcohol. The isopropyl kind. Scrub it with a toothbrush. I know this part isn't as interesting for you guys. It's not for me either. But it's just what we gotta do. Okay. This is actually looking better than I thought. Not ideal, but better. We'll grab the fresh flux, the relatively fresh flux, and just get a bit on here. Man, I wish I had some music to listen to. If only copyright strikes weren't an issue. Or whatever. Whatever that whole problem is. Alright, we are fluxed. Let's get the iron. Tin that up a bit. Let's do this. Getting a little more, I think. These larger blocks are a little bit tougher, though. I think I've got a higher heat solder that I can use. Let me go grab that real quick, and we might be able to use that. Alright. This stuff's a little bit thinner, but I think it's got a little bit more silver to it, or something like that, which makes it a little bit more resistant to the heat, which is what I think might be on this controller here. That or something similar. So the trick here, literally the trick, because who knows, I'm adding some new solder to the old stuff to try and get the old stuff to flow. That is not a pro tip. I don't know if that's like the recommended way to do it. It's just something that I've done before in the past with some success. This guy just does not want to flow. Cranking that heat up a little bit more, which makes me nervous. I don't like turning the heat up too much. But at least now it's loosening. Try again with the wick here. Got something. Still didn't get it all off, though. I hate to say it, but I don't think I'm going to be getting this back together tonight. At some point, I'm going to have to, you know, go to sleep. Let me clean out this pump for a second. The pump's managed to collect some sort of goo, or goop, if you would, inside its little silicone sock. And I wonder if that's not getting in the way here. Also a bit of residual solder. Okay. Almost nice and clean. Just scrape out, oh there we go. Okay, scrape out the remaining. And reassemble it. Yeah, you said it, Austin. And you know what? I felt pretty good going in. Solder. Okay, so yeah, you said it. Soldering is finicky, and you never know what to expect. But I felt pretty good going into this because I've had like a pretty good run as of late. Everything was doing what it was supposed to do. This stuff is not melting the way I want it to. And I feel like if I were to try and wiggle out this thumbstick now, it would just be in vain. So I hate to sit here and like keep doing the same thing over and over again, but until I feel like the thumbstick's not attached, there's not a whole heck of a lot I can do about it. I mean, it'd be, again, like I said, it'd be in vain. I really don't understand why it's not melting. I mean, I have cranked up the heat. I don't even want to say what it's at. I'd usually melt stuff way with way less heat. And it's crazy because every time I turn this up, it's like, okay, yeah, you can have a little bit more off now, but not all of it. A little bit more flux on there. Might help. Definitely not that much. That is not what I need. That's still way too much. Still way too much. At least it is on the little applicator. That was way too much. But we're going to roll with it. We're going to see if we can't make this work. If anyone is new here, let me catch you up. I've been disassembling this Xbox One Series 2 Elite controller, not because it's broken, but just because. And with any luck, it won't be broken when I reassemble it, which again might not be tonight because it's getting late. But we're having fun. And I think we're actually finally, I said it every time I've kind of reset the cycle here, but I think we've got progress. I really do. Yep, I see stuff melting. There we go. That definitely got something. Love it. Oh, yeah. Can you see that on camera? I might need to shift. I might have just shifted the camera. Get back there. And let me give you a better view. Try to do this with a soldering iron in my hand and manage the camera. That's smart right there. But we finally have like a couple of very clearly separated joints. It's those two. Like I can't really point them out, but they're there. Trust me, they're there. So you know, again, progress is being made. Put that down for a second and switch back to this. Hopefully that's not burned. I mean, I think it's just the flux, of which I am now going to add even more, even though I've already added too much. It's just a couple of these spots. Well, maybe we'll just try giving this thumbstick a wiggle and see if we can't get it out Bruh, come on. I am going to be pretty bummed if I find out that this little fuzz piece, the little foam, like insulated thing or whatever that is, also needs to come off, and the contact points under there need to be desoldered as well. Alright, I think it's time to give this a try. So clean off the iron real quick. And turn it off. Although I probably need it turned on realistically. Oh, I gotta zoom me out. Sorry. Actually, I just realized, wow, that's dumb. I missed 2 points completely. Good job, me. It's... I was thrown off by this line right here. This and this also need to be desoldered. So let's do that. And while we do that, let's talk about the word solder for a moment. Because I caught some flack for saying solder the way I say solder, instead of overpronouncing the L. And I just don't think that's right. You know? I know that folks from overseas and even in Canada really throw that L in there, and I do not. But I think that it actually is there. You know, it's just a lot less pronounced. Solder is definitely the right way to say it. You're absolutely right, Blue Ostrich. But I was thinking about this because people commented on a short that I made, and they were like, why can't Americans say it? It's solder. And it's like, you know, with your accent, yes, it is. With my accent, it's definitely not. If I were to try and say it in my Midwestern accent, it would probably have to be like solder. And honestly, it sounds like I'm trying to do some sort of like weird Russian, Polish accent when I do that. And that is just not right. When I say it, when I say solder, I realized that my tongue makes the same motion, the underside of my tongue makes the same motion that it would when I say, make a lul sound, like. And so I think, furthermore, the way Americans speak versus people from overseas is our O's are really more like A's sometimes, where we say things like pop. It's an ah sound, which is really leans into that whole solder thing. If we're supposed to say solder or solder, then it needs to be spelled S-A-U-L-D-E-R, and it's not. And that's what I got. What say you? This tip is definitely like burned. I'm not loving this. We are going to go back to turning down the heat. Because it was just so high before. Yeah, the aluminum versus aluminium thing too. Like, I actually looked into that as well because I was curious, and I think I discovered that they're both right. And I do think that aluminium was first. But, you know, the bottom line is it shouldn't matter. And it really doesn't matter. So, that's where I'm at with it. Boy, I really hope that this finishes soon, this soldering process, because I'd like to finish pulling this controller apart. Spelling of color. Exactly, you know? I was thinking it's funny if we were to pronounce it solder and add that extra U. We're not the ones that add, like, I mean, I'm assuming everyone here is, you know, American, but I don't know, maybe you're not. We're not the ones that add U's and things. And again, not that it matters. I personally don't care. This one leg here, I really feel like it's not getting... I mean, they're both really not, but the one really is not getting it. Crank up that heat one more time and see what we get. That one might be pretty good. One of the problems here is I don't have anything to clamp this down, and I keep accidentally moving and shifting the controller. Alright, we'll give this another go. It's really not budging, though. And I am afraid that I have to desolder the pads under this protective foam. Wowzers, indeed. Why couldn't this just be cool? You know? I wonder if these thumbsticks with like the shielding here, I wonder if it's like press machine fit on. Because that is just so frustrating to be at this point and, like, kind of get stuck. Like, I don't even really see a clear way that someone is meant to take out the thumbstick. Because in order to grasp it, if I'm not going to use my fingers, like, it's smooth and shiny, and I would, like, need pliers or something. Hit it with a hammer. Frozen ice. That's a good idea. I've actually gotten that a couple times tonight, and it's sounding more and more appealing. Hammer and crowbar were the front runners. Really would like to be able to disassemble this. Some progress there. Yeah, see, that's the disheartening part where, like, I come back now and I get a little bit closer to this and I notice that there's still, like, a bit of a connection here. It's not doing what I need it to do. Hit it with another controller, and then you get more repair content. Well, that's, you know, that now wins most creative, because it's a good idea. As luck would have it, I have another controller. Oh, that came off, I didn't even realize it. I have another controller. This came in a 2-pack. Both for parts, and yet both seem to work perfectly. At least this one did until I came along and hit it with my own agenda of disassembling it. It's frustrating on a few levels because I can't continue with what I'm doing, and I know that some of these, like, movements that I have to make are just getting in the way of the camera, and so it's, like, not fun for you guys to watch. You get to see my hand and my forearm get in the way. And not that that's not great content, but it is in fact terrible content. There we go. It's funny to think how sometimes a soldered joint, a bad soldered joint, is the problem to something. And other times, it's like a bad soldered joint does not exist. Like, if this controller had joystick issues at all, and it was like a soldered, it was one of the joints, I would not believe you if you were to tell me that. Try a little bit more of that wick again. Pump that full of a little bit of extra stuff. Let you guys view my hand. Rick did a nice job there. Let's actually try this a little bit more. I'm going to re-solder some of these joints that I feel like are half removed, just so that there's something to like get melted. And then we'll go through with the wick here and see if we can't sop some of that up. Well, and by some of it, I mean all of it. I mean, that's the goal. Right? I don't want to get some of this. I want to get all of it. Come on. Someone promised me that the wick was a lot better, and I'm not seeing it right now. Because it's not... I'm having a hard time using it consistently. I'm going to have to go back with the pump. For a not too expensive soldering iron, I wish I did have a good recommendation. This is the first one that I've got that is like more than, it's like a whole soldering station. And like, I think it's a good value. It was 130 bucks, but like it's like, I don't know if it's an off-brand or if like people in the soldering community would recognize it. But like, I know it's not a Weller, which I guess Weller is the big one. But those also tend to be very expensive. I think you can, but this is also like a soldering station with like it's a desktop power supply. It's a hot air reflow station as well. And if you really just want a soldering iron, I think you could get away with something reasonable for like 50 bucks. I don't know what that would be, but I remember looking, when I was looking, you know, it's out there. You can go cheaper too. It's just the old adage of you get what you pay for. I feel like you want to be careful when it comes to things that get hot. The other part that's difficult with this is like I can't get a good grip on any, like I can't get a good grip on the joystick to pull it off. So like I need to grab the housing here, the case, and like take the entire circuit board and use the case as like the medium to pry this, to put pressure on the joystick to try and get this whole thing to pop out. Anything is better than a decades-old wood burner with a soldering attachment. There's truth in that. That's for sure. All right, let's see what's underneath this little sticker foam part here. Hey, you get back there. That's what I get for taping my camera to the wall. So underneath here, it's just like little pads, but I don't know if that makes the difference. We're gonna have to try it though. Not looking forward to that. That's way too much flux. I'm going to put in a half-hour warning, which is disheartening for me, but can't stay up all night, unfortunately. So if I can't get this thing, I just have to be done in a half hour. Hopefully we get it to where I want it. We'll see. Okay, I immediately regret this decision. I have no idea how that's supposed to clean up. But it looks like it just took... I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what that did. It looks like it just kind of took everything off there. That could be a problem. I mean, they just looked like little pads. And instead this just spread everything around. Bridging some sort of connection. I guess we'll see what the aftermath is once it goes back together. If it goes back together. It'll go back together. Really thought that was going to have something to do with the joystick. Shame on me. And this is where some sort of grip would be helpful. I think we're close, actually. And I know I've said that a lot, but I can see a lot of negative space on these legs. You wonder why you were recommended this, KSP. I don't know. What do you like? What are you into? I don't think KSP is here anymore. Oh, it's still there. Oh, not much of the computers, huh? So what are your tutorials about? Not that all computers have to be about tutorials, but you got tutorials in your name. So I was just curious. Well, I'm glad you're still here. This is actually an Xbox One Elite controller, so do you do anything with games? Oh, okay, Kerbal Space Program. No, I know that. I probably didn't say it right, but I'm familiar. If you haven't seen my channel yet, it's mostly shorts at the moment. Shorts and this. Nice, I said it right. I've actually got... Oh, I thought I had one of these legs all the way out, but I don't. But it is, like, kind of out. I haven't. I remember when that game came out, and I remember it looked cool on Reddit. I saw what other people were doing with it, and I was pretty impressed. But I've never actually played it myself. I might own it. It might be in my Steam library in the abyss with everything else that I've yet to play. For anyone who's watching this thinking, hey, I'll learn some soldering techniques from this guy, this is not a great moment. I'm just saying. What I'm doing right now is basically just trying to wriggle this joystick free by applying heat to the different legs, because I can't seem to get all of the solder removed, and it's like kind of working poorly. Okay, wait and jump in on the next one. Why not? Definitely willing to give it a go. This does make me wonder if maybe like a hot air gun would be a better use to get this out. Scott Manley tutorials? Alright. This game must be in depth if you need some tutorials for it. There's gotta be a lot to it. It's like real physics, like real rocket ship building, right? Nice. Who doesn't love rocket ships? Less nice is this dumb controller that I probably broke when I desoldered some pad that doesn't appear to have needed it. And don't really have any way to clean that up that I'm aware of. I definitely feel like I'm just burning stuff now. And I don't know if this would be worth trying. I'll give it a shot. We've come so far Might as well hit it with everything we got. I don't think anyone would need a heat gun when you have an oven, but I don't have one. See you, KSP's tutorials. Have a good night. However, I don't have an oven. I don't know if I said that. Now on this, I am definitely strapped for space. And hopefully I don't burn myself. And I wish I had a better view to give you guys, but I can't at the moment. We might end up doing that, Frankensteining a couple of components together. Probably not tonight. I gotta pause this for a second. Pause the heat gun. That is. Because this is like working its way out now. Or maybe I'm just getting it stuck. I think I'm just getting it stuck. Alright, you know, I've never had much success with the heat gun. And I don't think today's going to be any different. I'm going to switch back to the soldering iron. Yeah, just as well. Funny, every time I pump away some of this, it's like a little bit more comes back. So I can see people popping in and out. I don't know if you're the same people that were here, so I'll just say, catch people up. We've been disassembling this Microsoft Xbox Elite Series 2 controller, and it's been going okay up until recently, but mistakes have been made. Are they mistakes that are going to damage it permanently? Only time will tell. But this is a learning experience, and, you know, I'm going to come out the better for it. If only I knew that these feet, the feet here, had all the solder removed from them. That one was finally good. When I see it look like that, it makes me think most of these are not what they should be. In terms of solder removed. And again, I apologize. I know the camera view is not good for this, but it's a little bit tough. I was not planning on desoldering anything tonight. Did not prep for that. I will say that I have never been closer to this thing here, like visually having all of the solder sucked away. It's kind of tough to tell. My eyesight's not perfect, and I don't have a microscope, so it's like I do a little bit more, and it's like, hey, this looks better than it did the last time. Maybe that's all of it. And then it's not. But then, like, I get a little bit more, and, you know, that's kind of cool. So, actually, I think I'm looking pretty good here. I'm going to try and wiggle this out again in just a second. If I could just get this one leg to look the way I want it to look, then we could try to pull apart. And I definitely think that the remote had... I think the controller had... oh, okay. There. Now it looks the way I want it to. I definitely think it had, like, some higher temperature solder in there. The real question is, could I even, if I wanted to, get at those screws on the blue board, which would allow me to pull all of this apart? Definitely not that one, so that's something. Okay, more ill-advised techniques. Applying pressure while just touching each of these legs to loosen up whatever solder might be there. Just as soon as it finishes heating up. And again, this is more of a do as I say, not as I do type scenario because, you know, not an expert at this. And we're learning as we go along. So it's kind of good that you guys actually can't really see my hands, or can't really see the remote, and all you see is my hands. I definitely think this stuff is like slow to melt and quick to solidify again. See, and now I see more of it flowing around, and it makes me think that, again, I did not get all of the solder off. So back with the pumping. And I told myself I would be done at 1 o'clock. But, you know, if we're really that close, I might not be. If I knew that this controller had stick drift, which it doesn't, I'm just pulling this apart, I might snip off these legs, because that would make it easier to, I think would make it easier to actually pull this joystick out. Did I miss a contact? Because this guy is not wanting to go anywhere. I don't think so. I am concerned about the amount of heat that has gone into this board. Like, I'm curious to know... This doesn't look like it's all gone. I'm curious to know if this all will be fine once it gets back together. For the record, for anyone who doesn't know, this is mine. I am not working on someone else's. I've not opened an Elite Series 2 controller before, and so I bought one that said it was for parts off of eBay. And I just wanted to disassemble it and see what it had going for it. And it is quite complex. And then I figured, what better way to completely show that I don't know what I'm doing than just to jump on the live and do it in front of a bunch of people. Man, it just seems like it is so close, and it keeps getting close to the point where, like, hold on a sec. Like, I don't understand why the legs themselves aren't really coming out when there's pressure being put on this. I do wonder if I'm not going about this the right way. Maybe these rods that are in place from earlier, I wonder if they are holding us back at all. I don't think they are, but it's possible that they are. I mean, this one's not actually. It's off the thing now, so it's not that. Let me clean this up a second. I know that there's spots missing on here, and it's getting messy. At least it's cleaning up pretty good, so, you know, I feel good about that. You know, again, I wonder about the amount of heat going into the board. I wonder if I burned anything, but it looks like this is just a bunch of residue. I'll spray my hands, too. All right. And now that it is clean, I can see where there like could be potential where the feet like are still connected. Like this one definitely is. Where's my little stick at? This guy's definitely still connected, and this one is probably too. So we'll try to pump away a little bit more of that. First, I'm going to clear out the pump tube, the unofficial name, because I don't know what it's actually called. And it's not clean enough. What else we got going on here? Hopefully this is now clean enough where we get good suction and can pull up the rest of the solder. I know you guys can't see it because it's like, it's this. So exciting as I put on this little tip. There we go. Alright. Hopefully for the last time we get the soldering iron heated up. And we try to take some stuff apart. Are we there yet? Still heating. Where's a good spot for being in frame? Oh, there it is. And that's probably close enough. And again, sorry, you're not really going to see too much of this because my hand's going to get in the way. Again, I was not planning on having to do this. Because again, I have not done this particular kind of controller before, and I didn't know that this was necessary. Desoldering the joystick, that is. It appears to be necessary. I'm going to have to look online later and see if I was correct or just missed something. There we go, that's definitely cleared. Is it cleared all the way around? I don't know. But I'll give you guys a good overview real quick before I try to pull this out again so you can see all the different spots. There was really only, of all the things I've done, really only one big mistake was made, and I don't know how big it is, and I won't know until I put the whole thing back together. This leg right here just does not want to let go of whatever solder it's got left. I'm telling you. Let's try it again. Come on, my guy. Nope. Thanks so much for tuning in. I can't wait to go back and see how long this part was. It feels like eternity for me. It must feel like the same for you. Okay, so I actually do see that I'm getting a good amount of this. But it's not all, it's definitely not all of it. And I know that I'm adding some in there. Again, this is just a technique that I've used that I don't know if it's like something you're supposed to do, but just adding that little bit of extra solder to get the rest of it to flow. I mean, I know that's what the flux is for, but the flux has not been my friend, even though I've got a whole bunch right here. Might be my friend right now. Okay. Actually, this one looks like it could use a little bit more removal. You know, I did desolder a like a more standard Xbox One controller joystick. It was not this difficult, which I'm a little bit perplexed over. It gave up the goods much quicker. Have I ever poked myself? Not poked, but I have burned myself. I've touched it by accident. Which is pretty much the same thing that you're asking, except it's not like I jabbed myself ever, but like when reaching for something or when trying to like manipulate something, I have touched my, like, I've touched myself with it. It's late. You don't usually work with the very tip of the soldering iron, at least I don't. I work with like the flatter parts of it. You know, it goes up against a leg to melt stuff, and so that's why I don't end up poking myself with it so much. Not that it's sharp or anything like that, so it's really just the hot part. And at this point, I am just fluxing the crap out of this. Again, mistakes were made. Again, this is mine. It's a learning tool. This is exploratory. Okay. Why can't I get the stuff that's underneath the joystick? And I really think they use some sort of higher heat solder on this. Let's have you guys take a look. Help me take a look. And we can see if we're any closer to this. Eastern time zone. So yeah, it's 1:07 for me. And I told myself I would be done with this at 1 o'clock. So now we can see that, like, where's my little stick thing at? So, like, obviously we've pulled away pretty much all the solder off of all of these. You know, these all look good, although this is the stuff that's frustrating. like this could still be bridged right there. And it's like so tough to know that, and I don't want to like yank on it or anything like that. This guy right here and this guy up here suck. I think they're still connected. I can't get it out. I don't know. I'm going to try wiggling a little bit more and applying some more heat while I do that. So let's get that going. Because ideally, if there was no solder on this, then this should theoretically pop out more or less. Actually, let's try prying just slightly with like this stick here, because I can get at this part right here, which is like, this is the joystick, this turquoise part. And we can see a little bit maybe if how much play we've got, and it doesn't look like any. This is like so tight in here. Okay, back to the heat method. Just let it finish heating up. So might as well just reflux. I'm going to have to up my hot air reflow solder gun, hot air reflow skills, because they're non-existent at the moment, and I feel like they probably would have helped out here. Come on. Ooh, I think there is progress. I think I felt something move a little bit. But then I look at the legs and I'm thinking, now maybe not. This might... I don't want it to break, but I'm definitely trying to finish up, which is when mistakes happen. Rushing something. But then there's also, you know, something to be said for not spending too much time on a thing. And yet here I am. If only there was a good way to get a hold of the joystick module. Whoops. See, there's the mistake. Just touch the soldering iron to the D-pad. Gotta put that down for a sec. If only there was a good way to get a hold of the joystick to try and wiggle this out. Because I don't have a good grip on anything, so like it's really tough to tell if something's making progress or not. That was disappointing, that. Just double checking that there has not been like anything that has wiggled free a little bit, you know? Clean it up again. Okay, still cleans up good. Next thing we're going to try, I don't like to put pressure on the legs with the soldering iron, but I'm about to. I'm going to try and bend them slightly. The ones that I feel are most likely to be the problems. Bend them inward to ensure that they're not touching the pads and holding this whole thing in place. We'll see what happens. Oh, that was easy. I just did it like it was nothing. Hopefully nothing broke now. So it seems like the ones where most of the solder, if not all the solder, is actually gone, are actually quite easy to move. Meaning the ones that don't move still have a bit of solder in them. That one was definitely connected. I could feel it move. I could feel it like click away. This might be the technique to have learned though, right here. As you start to get this stuff out, make sure you can, make sure you can bend your pins, kind of gently bend your pins toward the middle so they're not touching the pads. And we'll see what kind of an effect this leaves on it. Like it probably isn't anything as long as the pin isn't broken, but I don't think it is, because they're usually a little bit more resilient than that. I was just surprised at how much it moved, how quickly it moved. Still, I know you can't see again. Sorry, my hand's in the way. But I think this guy right here is being a huge jerk at the moment. This had better start to work soon, because I am now thinking that I'm going to start naming the pins. And when that happens, like, you know it's been a while. Two of them. I think there are two of them on here that are really stubborn and still have like pockets of solder tucked away, making a connection somehow. Try and pry. Given the absolute lack of movement, like, you would think that there is another leg somewhere that I am just missing completely. I don't see it. I don't see a missing leg. I don't understand why this is not coming out. Yes, it really is just those two that happen to be basically keeping the whole thing in there. Well, the nice thing is, this is how you get experience. The disappointing thing is it is taking way too long to gain said experience. And that stings a little bit. I really thought be able to come in here and disassemble this pretty easily. I was not expecting this thing to be so complicated. You know, just based off of experience with the other model that I have disassembled before. Gosh, some of these little guys here, they move so easy. Maybe that one not so much. Some of these are like perfectly loose. I can tell they're free. They've got nothing holding them there. It's perfect. And then there's other ones that, you know, they're jerks. And they're not working. That one just came clean finally. Here, footsteps. This guy stopped moving as freely. That slipped. Yes, Fix Breeze, I am afraid that is the case. To be fair, lack of knowledge on this particular model, lack of overall skill have played a factor. Also some stubbornness, because I didn't look up any, like, disassembly instructions or anything like that, so I probably should have. Would have been good to know what I was getting myself into. But I think I am about to call it. I don't want to. Like, I'd really like to have gotten past this joystick at least, but it's late. This guy is not moving. This is like the only one that I've not seen. Whoa, that was not intentional. Move freely. All the other ones at some point have moved freely. Man, I keep doing that. It's slipping on the flux and I'm doing too much pressure. A lot of time spent on this. It's very late. Let's take a beat for just a second. Oh my goodness. Just scrubbing this clean a little bit, as I am about to call it. Just figured I'd see if there is anything else this thing wanted to do. If it wanted to be cool. Now is its chance. So again, each of these legs have moved independently. Even now, with everything cleaned up and it's cooled down, except for this jerk. I think that's the one that's holding it all in. I'm going to make one more attempt at that and then call it. Because I am tired. Keep putting on way more flux than I mean to. Heat it up. And it looks like there's nothing there, you know? It looks fine. Even more so now that I just did that. So I'm surprised that it just is not moving. We're coming down to the end of the wire. Because I'm feeling tired. This is a solder pump. When the solder melts and liquefies, I push this button here actually, and it sucks. It creates a suction that pulls the solder out. Pushing the red button down is like arming it so that it's ready to suck up the next bit. I really shouldn't be so stubborn. I really should have looked at a manual or anything I could find online a long time ago. Because that just makes sense, you know? I could have found some secret trick. One weird trick to getting your Xbox Elite Series 2 controller disassembled. Microsoft hates them. I mean, it's just practical and makes good sense. But I am almost done. Again, because it's pretty late. And this thing just does not like me. Alright. Well, with that I have to call it, unfortunately. It's weird to see it go through so many cycles. It's weird to see it go through so many cycles where it's like, oh, it's working. You know, we're getting the solder out. It should be closer to being able to wiggle the joystick free, but every time I go back, there's more solder in there. Which, I mean, it's not like it's multiplying or anything like that. I did add some every now and then to try and get the rest of it to flow so it could all be sucked up at once. But obviously that didn't work out. So I'm not sure what is keeping that together or why it doesn't move at all. But I'm going to look into it a little bit. Obviously that means we're not reassembling tonight, but that was out the window a long time ago. I'm just going to brush this down a bit real quick. And just kind of put stuff away. And I might touch in on this again tomorrow after doing a bit of research to see what I'm missing. It's a little disheartening. I don't want to make any claims that I'm an expert because I know that I'm not, but I thought that I would have been able to have done this. I think I said that wrong. having previously removed joysticks from other controllers, I don't understand why this one is not coming out. And I just need to figure out why. And then I really hope that the cleaning up the little pad here that I probably should not have done, I hope that was not a mistake. We'll see. Let's see. Everything here is pretty much together. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me and sticking it out to the end. I fixed Breeze. I'm pretty sure that's you. That's out there still. It was fun. It was a learning experience. I did have a good time. Like I said, if I sound a little downtrodden at all, it's just because it wasn't the result that I wanted. But that's the way it goes sometimes. It's part of the learning process. So I'm out for now. Have a good night. Thanks so much again. Yeah, there you are. Thanks for watching. I'm not sure where you're at, but, you know, is it late for you too? Bye. It must be late. All right. Have a good night.